Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Simon here, fresh off our Final Fantasy IX live stream, and thank you for those of you who pointed this article out to me. So yes, this is another interview with some of the team working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, specifically producer Yoshinori Kitase and co-director Naoki Hamaguchi. So this is an interview that's been posted on the official Square Enix news blog thingy. I'll leave a link to it in the video description if you want to check out the whole thing. But I'm going to be focusing on two aspects which I think you guys are going to be very interested in. The first of which is talking about endgame content. Now, as far as I know, it may seem obvious there's going to be endgame content in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it hasn't up until this point anyway actually been confirmed. So yeah, no surprise it's going to be in, but it is nice to have that confirmation. Just to clarify as well, of course, if you've been hiding under a rock or whatever, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is being split into multiple games. So the first game that we're getting released in April will occur through the events of Midgar, if we were looking at the original Final Fantasy VII. So those events are being expanded into a full game. Now that's important because obviously the endgame bosses in Final Fantasy VII, the original, the optional endgame bosses, were Emerald Weapon, Ruby Weapon, and technically I suppose you could say Ultimate Weapon because he was optional but wasn't really that challenging or in the same league as those other two endgame bosses. But still, there was three endgame bosses, none of which realistically are going to be able to appear in the remake, which means there's going to be new endgame bosses. Now, who they're going to be, what it's going to involve, we don't yet know, and wisely I think Square at this point are not wanting to reveal any spoilers about that. We're going to have to play to find out. But I would certainly be interested in your thoughts as to what you would like to see for Final Fantasy VII Remake's endgame content. But just to go through the quote with you, Hamaguchi, when answering the question about whether it would be there, the endgame content, answers, "I don't want to say precisely what's in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but if you're expecting endgame content, you won't be disappointed." That's got to be good news, hasn't it? So, yep, I'm expecting a fair whack of endgame content, probably many hours of grinding to get to the endgame content. Right then, okay, so that's the first thing. There is going to be endgame content. The next topic we're looking at is the topic of Red XIII. So, Red XIII is a character that, of course, in the original game, doesn't join the party until the end of the Midgar section on Disc 1. And I always said, I even made videos on this before Square even commented on it, don't get your hopes up about Red XIII in this game. Oh, what an idiot you are, Fuzz. How could Square not include him? How could you even think that? I called it, okay? I called it. I paid the price for calling it, but I called it. And it turned out that we found out a few weeks ago, didn't we, that indeed Red XIII is only going to technically be a guest party member for this first game. So in subsequent games, undoubtedly, he will be as playable as everybody else, but for now, just a guest party member. Well, we've actually got some more details on Red XIII now, and even though, yes, he's only going to be a guest party member, there is still going to be some interaction with him that's dedicated to this first part of the game that apparently fans are really going to enjoy. So let's just see some of that extra info here. Okay, so first of all, the reason why Red XIII has been set up as a guest party member as opposed to a fully playable party member. We felt that because he only joins the team during the latter stages, having him as a playable ally with full character growth potential would not be a satisfying experience for the player. So we decided to have him join for now as a guest character instead. So, just carrying on now with a little bit more info about Red XIII, Hamaguchi goes on to say that they didn't want to only have him as, say, a traditional guest party member. Maybe we think of some of the other guest party members from other Final Fantasy games, but he is going to have a little bit more involvement here. And some minor spoilers, you probably already read them on the screen, but I won't reveal exactly what that entails. I'm just quoting from him again. Want people to enjoy it when they actually play the game. But I will say that the Final Fantasy VII Remake has added a new, this is interesting, upper floor to the Shinra Building to present a climax that was not in the original. So there we have full clarification, okay? The climax to Final Fantasy VII Remake occurs in the Shinra Building on another floor that didn't exist in the original game. Now, we may have seen clips from that in previous trailers, very brief clips of the final encounters. I don't know why they have to show these things so early. So I won't mention that in case you haven't seen it, but if you have, you probably know what I'm talking about. It looks epic, it really does. Again, we saw maybe a second or two of it. But apparently, it's not just the climax that occurs here, because we're told the key to navigating this floor lies in using Red XIII's unique physical abilities to overcome environmental obstacles. Okay, so Red XIII is clearly going to play an important role here on this final floor that didn't exist in the original game, so that we can actually pass through various environmental obstacles. Now, as to the details of that, we have no idea what that even means. Whether that means we control Red XIII in the field for some specific action to make our way through obstacles, whether we're still just controlling Cloud and the AI is doing something with Red XIII so that we can access areas we couldn't access without him. I have no idea. But yeah, it sounds like he's going to have a little bit more involvement here at this point than he did in the original Final Fantasy VII, which hopefully, you know, some of you guys that are disappointed with Red XIII's usage in this game, how Square have implemented him as a guest character, will at least be a little bit more satisfied that he's going to have a little more to do. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah, just finishes with, I hope everyone enjoys seeing Red XIII in action in the build-up to the climax of the story. So we will get to see Red XIII in action. We just won't be, you know, fully controlling him as we will with the other party members. And again, the reasons they have been given. But there we have it then, guys. So what do you think about this? First of all, what do you want to see for endgame content in Final Fantasy VII Remake? And second of all, what do you think of the direction that Square are going in with Red XIII? Personally, I'm going to give you my opinion. I think they're doing the best with this situation they can do. I actually agree that having Red XIII as a fully playable party member for maybe an hour's worth of gameplay just seems kind of pointless when you're going to be learning how he, you know, works as a character like this for what? For 20 minutes of work, and then that's it. That's the end of the game. So better off just introducing him as a playable party member in Game 2, along with whatever other characters they introduce to us in that game as well. Probably Yuffie, maybe. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But all right then, guys. What do you guys think then about all that? Let me know in the comments section. But if there's any further Final Fantasy VII Remake news, then I'll make sure to share that with you as well, as and when it becomes available to us. Literally 18 days to go now until the game can be in our hands. Obviously, if you pre-ordered the physical edition, there's possibly going to be delays there. But if you're waiting for the digital edition, then you should be getting that bang on time. So thanks for stopping by today, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.